do that.
But in the positive note, I do have the I don't know if you watched the video on Thursday about the new platform that the CC fucking launched, like the Asta.
I
I'll
can't
go.
bullshit live on air. I haven't caught that one yet.
I didn't call it, but you know, I bought it.
Right.
And I don't know. Personally, I told everyone like on the video. But then I didn't call it because it is a brand new stuff. And number two, you need to be experienced in terms of buying DeFi, things like that. You need to transfer funds. Same thing as Hyperliquid, and I can go over how to do it today. You know, because I think that still has a possibility in long term.
Okay. So what Maurizio has just said there is you should be watching every minute I record on those videos because I'm dropping gold non-stop. All right, so we're gonna have we've been enjoying this kind of teaching backwards and forwards that the crowd said that they were happy with, but the markets are absolutely kind of on fire and they're still pulling back, and it's looking more like we're going to be looking at a monthly close now to really be the catalysts for the alt season. There's things such as the Bitcoin dominance. Anybody that follows that Bitcoin dominance, until we get
You love the Bitcoin dominant,
I
and you
do like
fall
that
in love.
Bitcoin dominance. She's a naughty little girl. Until that crashes, until that crashes, and I think that we're going to see more price discovery for Bitcoin. I don't know how much. I don't think there's that much upside to Bitcoin, and this will be my main kind of question that people might be interested in today that I'm going to ask next, and then we don't need to have a long one today because we want to have a look at a lot of the trades that Maurizio's got on. So it'll be less coaching today and more about the trades that Maurizio's got on. So going back to what I was saying then, I think that Bitcoin, and this is just conjecture, has got one kind of last push in it. So it's starting to look at the market, look at the risk to reward, and starting to see how the money is flowing. Ethereum is becoming a better risk to reward than what Bitcoin is. So Scott would say, what's the hottest girl on campus right now? But Ethereum's in a pullback right now, Ian. It is, isn't it? And look at the strength that Sol's got. So Ethereum's pulling back and Sol's like that. Let's have it. So Sol's having a nice little run, and Sol's going to take full advantage of that until Ethereum starts to really kick in. Well, when does that happen? With the
Yeah.
crystal ball, if you know what I mean. So I think that the question, Maurizio, is just a bit about that money flow.
Yep.
How it affects things like the betas, when you say like Ethereum betas and Sol betas. And yeah, then it's finally that last crystal ball thing, which, you could liken to, well, the crystal ball is wait and see what happens on the monthly close. That's kind of
Right.
where the crystal ball is pointing.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, another interesting thing here, obviously, is that when you do trading, especially with leverage, you have to place your stop loss. You have to manage your risk somewhere. The problem with that is you're gonna get retracements, so you never know. So this is the thing. Once you like, there's gonna be instances in where you get stopped out, but it's gonna be instances that every single trade or every single breakout is gonna work out, and that's when you do the massive amount of money, right? Unfortunately, timing that is fucking hard, man. Like it is really hard, especially on leverage. And I want to reiterate this because obviously, if you buy spot is an easy thing in a way, right? You just need, you're gonna be on drawdown. Like most of the time, you're gonna be on drawdown, and then all of a sudden, in the day that you less expected, crypto just bumps all the way up, right? So that's the thing between those two things. So you have to be aware of how to manage both, right? Like if you want to do a spot or you want to do leverage, so you have to be aware of that, because there's going to be a lot of stopped outs in our way. Like, last year, like we grew the account from 1,000 to 20 grand, and at this moment we have it around We had a drawdown. We have it around 13,000, give it a
Hmm.
take, and that's where we doing like that. You know what I mean? Like that's what our equity core looks like. But it's gonna be a time that everything is going to freaking work, man. And that's crypto, man. That's crypto. It's a very nice thing, but it could be a very dangerous thing when you play with leverage. All right. So just be mindful of that. So don't go like, when I was placing the trades, especially when everything looked really good, we tend to actually over leverage and say, let's go all in. This is, you know what I mean? And I did mention that like behind like so many good setups, you cannot actually take all of them, unfortunately. I wish. That's why FinRep works like that, right? FinRep will take everything, but FinRep basically will manage your risk accordingly. It is not going all in on every single token. So as the trend is going up, it's actually positioned more size accordingly. So that's kind of the difference between manual trading and automatic trade. You know, put it
Hmm.
that way. Yeah, Joe has a pretty good point. Like leverage definitely needs to be monitored, and it does my head in. Trust me. Like there's days that I'm happy. There's days that I'm really which everything looked pretty good on Thursday, and we had a huge retracement over the weekend. But let's go through and analyze what I'm seeing and things. And we need to be prepared to cut things when things are not working in the basis of protecting the capital, protecting the risk, protecting the leverage, right? So that's kind of, I don't usually sell anything on spot, because I we have a strong conviction that we are going to enter a bull run, right, in the next at least 2 or 3 months, right? But on leverage, you need to actually do that, cut some stuff. That's why we do have stop losses, or sometimes we just cut it. Like if the market is not there that day, we just cut it, and then that's it.
Yeah, that's something that can be uncomfortable. Uh,
Very much so,
it,
definitely.
uh, you know, you start to get those feelings of, well, it might come back, you
Yeah,
know? And
exactly.
I think when you're feeling like that, I think that's as dangerous and you can make as crazy decisions as when you feel like I can't fucking lose.
Definitely, it's the same. Yeah, and definitely you can do that with a spot, because at the end of the day, you might have that asset that if it comes back, comes back, right?
Hmm.
But with leverage, you can just blow up your whole account, and that will never come back. So I want to
Yeah.
reiterate that for people that's doing leverage
Cut it
with me.
off or be
Uh,
a bag
uh,
holder for the next 2.5 years, 3 years.
and it's going to be these ups and downs, and especially if you haven't sort of experienced the ups yet, which we had last year,
Hmm.
and we've been doing some good trades last year. uh it's been choppy, so
Oh,
so
yeah.
obviously I just want to reiterate that. Okay.
A drawdown from initial capital hurts 10 times as much as if you're in profit and
Oh, definitely.
get back.
So you hit the point, and that happens with FinRep as well. If you guys, so for instance, um think about it from the psychological perspective that you started with 10 grand or whatever amount of money you start with, right? And then you experience, like, every single system, every single trading system, everybody will have a drawdown at some point, right? The problem is you never know when the drawdown is going to hit you. Okay. So you could start today with $10,000 in FinRep or trading leverage or whatever you do, right? And make 3 times your money tomorrow. That's doable, right? Because if the market is on your side, then you're gonna make the money. So you made 30 grand. After you made 30 grand, the market pulls back 50%. Okay. So you're still back 15%, like 15,000. So you're still making $5,000 or your $10,000, right?
Mhm.
Psychologically speaking, how would you feel? Oh, all right, that's cool. I'm still making 5,000. The feeling is different. Same 50% pullback. Now let's talk about the other option. You start today, 10 grand, and the market pulls back 50%. Now your $10,000 is $5,000. how would you feel psychologically speaking? It's the same thing. It's the same 50%
Mm.
retracement, but how would you feel? You know what I mean? It depends on where you are at that cycle, right? So
Mhm.
same market conditions, different time of the market, very different outcome psychologically speaking. Okay, same thing with FinRep. That's basically,
Mhm.
in a nutshell. So it hurts, but it is what it is. You know what I mean? So obviously you need to be aware of that. So whenever you start, don't go all in. Yeah, you can, hit those home runs, but then there is a high likelihood that market will retrace at some point. We don't know when. That's kind of the problem with it. So yeah. Okay, so what, Jonathan? What is this? Hmm.
Mhm.
So,
There's a
yeah, let's address what. So with the understanding that we just need to let FINRA do this thing, if you happen to be looking at the account in FinRev and see that one of or more trades is made getting to very close to liquidating, will be a good idea to exit that trade. And if it's so, if FinRev just reset its position during the half period, is that just one trade? All right. When you start playing with FinRep, right? If you understand what liquidation means, you have to understand if it's a liquidation of the whole account, or it's a liquidation of every position. So every position, whenever you put it a place in terms of leverage, you will have some. It does have a mathematical formula within the exchange that is going to liquidate that position. Okay. Now you need to understand where your volatility target is at and all that sort of stuff. And then if you start playing with FinRep, closing stuff, you don't understand the system. So in terms of why would you start closing trades on something that is automatically managed? You know what I mean? Like it's very tough to do. So FinRev is designed to let it run, long term. That's basically what I do. If you want to start playing with your own trades, then get a new account, right? And then you can use FinRev information to actually just trade if you really want to. That's basically something that you could do. But yeah, like technically, you shouldn't be like closing any trades on FinRev because you don't know what the system is doing in the back end. That would be my suggestion, especially with FinRev. So,
But the thing you want to do here is you want to get in touch with support because
mm,
there's usually a reason behind why somebody gets
mm-hmm,
flagged for predation. And I'm not saying that this is the reason, but the main reason that I know of is when people withdraw funds, but they
mm-hmm,
don't actually stop FinRev.
correct.
And then FinRev executes that the position size is
Yep.
calculated on so that's usually one way that would do it. The other way that would do it is if there's an account balance of something silly, like $100 or something, it wouldn't do it. And yeah, just there is nothing manual that you press with FinRev. It's fully automated. So
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
uh,
And if you start closing the trades, guess what? Next day they're gonna reopen the same trade because FinRep detects that the trade is not being open, right? So
exactly.
obviously, so yeah,
Exactly.
first of all, get in touch with support or anything, but then I shouldn't be like, yeah. So all right, let's get cracking, and let me just share my screen and we'll talk about Bitcoin a little bit more and how do you see the market. So first of all, how do you guys feel about Bitcoin markets today? That's a really interesting question that I wanna ask you guys.
I've come to see that the market is just a fuck around machine and it shall be and
Oh
shall
man.
forever be that.
It is a fuck around machine, isn't it? Like this is interesting. Anyway, all right, and I'm gonna talk about a little bit the new platform that CC launched and Binance is backing up. It's like the competitors for Hyperliquid, and I think it does have a lot of good things to offer. So is that going to be better than Hyperliquid at some stage? Who knows? But we'll go through it. Let's talk about Bitcoin. Let's go through the weeklies, right? Because we just had a close on weeklies, and obviously, everything looked pretty good for Bitcoin closing this level up here, right? The 117. Unfortunately, right, that didn't happen. So on the week, right, everything was looking great, but then on Friday, yeah, it was Friday, yeah, give or take, we had a massive retrace, right? Nothing in particular, just retracement, right? A lot of people taking profits. But what do you see here from the weekly still? Like, that's what I'm saying, like in terms of long term, what do you guys see from this chart? Yeah, uptrend definitely. We're still in an uptrend, right? We have higher lows. This is higher low, higher low. Now we are again now from the weekly, right? We are at the same point that we were last week. As simple as that, right? So last week we were here at 115,000, right? Now this week market started going all the way up, and guess what? We are at the same place that we were last week, right? So if we go back and revisit the video that, or no, the call that we did last week, these points are really like what I call influx points. Why? Because this is something that it could actually trigger the trend. We could have a trend continuation, or we could have rejection. As simple as that, right? We are on that influx point in a way, right? So look at what happened here, for instance, in June 2025. Same thing, give or take, right? So we have the weeklies, right? Then we have retracement, then we have continuation, right? Is that going to happen that way? We already had the retracement, right? So I'll be watching Bitcoin very closely, right? This is the range that I'm watching closely, right? Why? Because if we start breaking below, right, this level here, the 114 opens up the gate to actually go to these lows again a little bit. So have to be mindful of that, right? So obviously and um, a few things happened last week. Obviously we have FOMC, but now we have 1 week until the month finishes, right? And one thing, I thought we had more time in a way, but then what is one thing that I've been saying at the end of the month? Like what happens usually at the end of the month? It could happen. We could still have we could still happen that we have a little bit of a rally, and then what happens usually at the end of the month? Usually doesn't happen all the time, but then what usually happens at the end of the month? Come on, anyone?
We get a massive rally.
So usually at the end of the month, we do have a little bit of a pullback. We have a sell-off. Let's have a look at the monthly from this perspective. Okay. So what do we see here? Oh, this is the monthly, by the way. Let's see where the month, like we still have a week. We still have 1 week before the month closes. All right. So this week, can this do fuck around? But at the end of the day, it's going to be a little bit of a retracement at the end of the month, usually. Okay, usually. So I'll be a little bit cautious to actually doing some trades during this week, especially how the market is behaving. I don't see the price action. So that's kind of what I'm looking at this week, right? So unless the only thing, like in terms of catalysts or things that it could actually do well, right? The only thing that I'm seeing is that there is this, the Korea blockchain this week, and these guys are going to be in. Like Eric Trump, Donald Trump Jr. A lot of things could happen this week in terms of catalyst, like some things that they will release, news things. This is kind of the only thing that I can see that the markets will do or pump or do something this week in the basis of that. That's the only sort of thing that could trigger things, right? But then yeah, that's kind of what I'm seeing at the moment. Now let's go back to the daily. Yes, good point. Well, definitely end of quarter. So if you have a look at from the end of quarter, a lot of funds and things they need to do rebalancing. They need to actually do gains. So that's why I'm actually tempted to actually cut a lot of the trades. We are still like, I know we cut it, we got some profits, then we run back, but then obviously that's what manage risk at some point. So yeah, I'll be tracking the week. I'll be tracking everything this week to see how it plays out. But yeah, we have that on the table, right? People de-risking before the end of the quarter. I do foresee that the next quarter could do really well, like Q4. Everybody's waiting for freaking Q4, so I'll expect a lot of movement on Q4. So any pullbacks could be ideally to actually get position on spot, right? So that's kind of something that I'll be looking for. So that's the thing that I'm sort of watching at the moment. So if we do the same thing with Ethereum, so that's where I'm at in terms of Bitcoin. Before we move into Ethereum, I just want to show you where I'm at in terms of the open interest and things. So obviously we had this massive, not massive, like any sell-off could be massive if you're on leverage, but it's not massive. It's only like, what was the sell-off here that happened from the 19th of September, 2%, right? But then if we are on leverage, that 2% could look like fucking 20% or stuff like that. So what I'm seeing in terms of open interest, I'm seeing that it looks like this level is being bought, right, heavily by spot buyers. So that's actually what I want to see, right? If I want to see that this level holds, then that could be a sustainable, at least, price action towards the highs, which is 118 again. Is that going to break up? Who knows? I mean, depends if that happens after the month or before the month. That's kind of my take here, but that could be. This looks promising, right, from the spot buyer's perspective. So I like to, yeah. I'm not gonna make any rush decisions today, especially Monday. Monday could be really volatile, and then let's see how it goes with the day. So that's basically what I'm seeing on Bitcoin. Let's have a look at Ethereum first from the same perspective. Let's start with the monthly, right? So monthly, we still kind of positive if we close above this one, right? So if we still close above this high right here in the monthly, which is the 4,300, is very positive. It's not. See the difference between the monthly and the weekly on Bitcoin. So still, Ethereum looks a little bit stronger than Bitcoin. So this is the week. This is the monthly. Let's go back to the weekly, right? So the weekly, we're still above this range right here. You can actually clearly see that this range is being respecting a lot, which is the 4,100 from the weekly perspective. So I still like Ethereum, right? The only thing that I don't like about Ethereum, now we're going to, usually this is basically what I do, right? Obviously things that I like, things that I don't, and then you make a educated decision in a way. Not educated, like nothing's educated about the markets anyway, but like this is kind of what I find. So when we have a look at the daily, right? So the daily looks pretty weak. This is a level that if it doesn't hold, opens the gate to at least retest the 4,000 at some level. If we have the 4,000, I think that will be a really good buy, definitely, right? If we're given that sort of price action, let's see how it goes. But then obviously, it's again, Don't make any rush decisions, especially at the end of the month. Now, if I look at Ethereum from the open interest perspective, right? Now, open interest looks pretty heavy. So why? Check this out. This is very interesting. You can actually see here the open interest starts rising, right? This is kind of this morning, right? Start rising, but the market is going down. Now, this looks like someone was, we start seeing shorts being opened in the market. So we might see that the market is going to pull back, like to go down a little bit more, right? For how long? Don't know. But this looks like it's going to be a little bit of push down based on this, right? Based that the open interest is rising, price is going down, and the spot is not, spot buyers are not there, right? So I'm seeing a little bit of a pullback, higher pullback on Ethereum, right? So that's going to could trigger a little bit of a sell-off, right, in a way. But the interesting thing is a lot of things happen. If this happens, then usually the next step is that you're going to start seeing a lot of liquidations to the downside, right? Things like this. People that went long on leverage then get liquidated, and that's when a lot of the spot buyers come in and start buying, and then that's when the market recovers. So that's kind of the game that they play in sort of small time frames. So with that being said, by the looks of this, I don't like the price action, right? Obviously, it looks a little bit weak. Let's see if this level holds, because that's kind of what I'm seeing on Ethereum. If this level holds, then definitely will be a bounce right here, right? This is an interesting time frame right here to be in, especially on a Monday, right? So yeah, that's what I'm seeing in terms of Ethereum. Another thing that I'm seeing in Ethereum is if we go to that one, where are you? Yes. So we did talk about this on prior calls, and is the Ethereum validator queue. So what I'm seeing is that a lot of Ethereum staking now get this is actually they want to exit, so we might see a lot of exits. Unless we start seeing a lot of entries, then we might get the 4,000 level buy, right? So that could be a really good one, which is not going to be good for our positions, right? By the way, so this is something that I'm seeing and tracking closely. So that's Ethereum. Let's jump on Solana. So Solana, let's talk about from the monthly, right? So this looks pretty good from the monthly if we're able to close above this level here, right? If we're able to close above the 237 level, let's say 240, right? Then how, like from the monthly perspective, this looks pretty bullish, right? So that's definitely something that I'm watching closely. If we go back to the weekly, now obviously we did have a little bit of a retracement last week, right? But we sort of started touching the level up here, the 250, right? So my next logical level to hold will be this 222, give or take. So that could be a really good place to have a retracement and start rebuying. If we see that, then I'll start joining the party in terms of actually rebuying Solana. So that's kind of what I'm seeing on Solana. On the daily, right? It looks pretty strong still. So this box is quite interesting here, which is the the retracement area that I'm sort of watching closely. On the break, if we start losing the 220, that opens up the gate to actually rebuy at 200 again, give or take, and that's going to affect alts a lot, right? If we get this kind of pullback, definitely going to see a lot of sell-offs, right? A lot of stop losses and things like that hitting, which essentially it will be good times to buy on the spot, right? So yeah, that's kind of what I'm seeing in terms of Solana. If we have a look at where are you? open interest and spot buying in Solana, right? So yes, so essentially there's no strength, right? There's no spot buyers at this level here, right? So obviously we don't have a spot buyers on Solana, we don't have a spot buyers on Ethereum yet. So we more than likely want to see a retracement this morning, right? More than likely. So that's especially on the smaller time frames, right? So obviously it's very hard to do this sort of spot volume on higher time frames because markets shift between leverage and spot buying all the time. So these only sort of work on the small time frames. But at least it helps me to actually get position when things are, on the best options, right? So yeah, unfortunately, it looks weak. That's just to say that we're going to have a further retracement of what we've seen. So yeah, so that's kind of where I'm at in terms of the market. Let's see if we do have any spot buying at those levels, and if we do, then we can start assessing if we are going to actually start doing some leverage stuff again. So now let's go back into our trades, the trades that we took last week. Unfortunately, fucking Bank is almost stop. It's almost on the stop out option. Now I'm not like, we place this trade right here, and then it barely almost stops me out. Let's see. I'm gonna leave it. Nothing else that I can do with that one, right? But JTO. So JTO, we kind of de-risk prior FOMC. Think this thing went nuts. Then we re-enter JTO, and now we're back on retracement. So pretty much JTO bonk. Unfortunately, I'm gonna leave them there. If it stops me out, stops me out. But the ones that I'm tracking to see if I'm going to de-risk is going to be SUI and HBAR. They are pretty much, yeah. It's just this morning market, yeah. Bitcoin is kind of shitting the bed. So unfortunately, stop losses are placed. So those trades, let's see what happens. Essentially, yes, no point to manage now. Like the risk at the moment, we are like 1% away from the stop loss in most of them. So let's see what happens, right? Besides the other ones that we have, I'm still very good positioned on Mantle. We're still very good position. We took some profits around here. I'm still looking to re-enter on Mantle a little bit more. Let me go through the ones that I want to add more, right? And because we do have good trades, and definitely we do want to add more on some of the tokens. So Uni still in a pullback, and this could be a really nice area to add. Let's see if the market holds. ARB, same thing. We still profit on this trade, and it looks this could be seen as a deviation. Like a lot of stop losses get here, then market rounds up, and then starts coming back up, which is good. But we're really well positioned in the first trade. INA, I'm still looking for the third trade. So first trade. Second trade, we're still on profit, right? This is the second trade with smaller, with higher risk. And I'm looking for a third trade. Ideally, what I want to see on INA is if we do have a flush, right? Then I want to see all these stops taken out, right, in a way, and then re-enter here with more risk. And that could be a really good, another leverage trade that I can add on INA. INA has been the most sort of resilient on flushes after the flush happens, right? So that's kind of what I'm watching with INA. And Arrow. So just get rid of this. Right, so Arrow, this is what we did last week. So Arrow, we start a good trade from here, so we're still on profit on that one. Now with the other trade that we took, I took a little bit of profits here. Unfortunately, a lot of these things retrace, right? And now here's where we at. So this one, I want to definitely see that it takes these stop losses and all the sort of stuff in this retracement, and then I want to re-enter again on error. Is that going to happen this week, this month? Who knows? But this is what I'm looking for. Those are the ones that I'm focusing on to add more in the trades, right? Besides any new stuff that I'm watching grass. I've been watching this one closely since last week. This is going to be a new trade, and it looks like very promising. So I'm watching this level quite heavily. So we can probably enter at these levels here, aiming towards the break of this level. If this level breaks, more than likely, we're going to reach at least this level here of the 1.5 area. So I'll definitely want to add more in spot. We do have a position in spot already. And if we do a leverage trade, the leverage trade could look like this, more than likely. Stop loss below here. And, if we do have strength, more than likely 1.5, that gives you 1 to 6 reward, give or take, and then move the stop loss. And if we hit the out season, this one could definitely go back up to 2.5 at least, so I'm watching this one very closely. So yeah, let's see what the market decides to do this week, but these are the main sort of ones that are watching. Obviously, you do have the list of all the stuff, AVAX.HBAR, LTC, all the possibility of ETFs that are going to be launched, right, that I'm watching as well. But I'm also watching the World Liberty Fund, this one, right? In the back of, that these guys are going to be on this blockchain conference this week. So that's going to be an interesting one, right? Like I said, I probably don't play this with leverage, right? But this could be a really good buy, to hold. If it drops down, more than likely I will add more. But I see this one at least coming back into listing price, right? So it does have a really good to give or take on spot. I give you, by 500 gives you 1,000, and if it continues, if we do have the bull run, this one might do well. These guys will definitely have the capacity to pump this thing as who knows still until when. So I'm looking at that one very closely. So yeah, that's basically what I'm seeing right now in the markets. And yeah, Bitcoin is crashing, is going low. Yeah, you can actually see everything is dropping, man. Everything is dropping on the back of what we just talked about, right? Unfortunately, and the best indicator that I can see, guys, like this is something that I use regularly. Obviously, on the very small time frames, works really well. But then obviously you need a small time frame activity in order to sustain the high time frame sort of activity. So everything starts from the small time frame. So if we go back and see what's going on with everything right now, right? Let's have a look at Bitcoin. Look at this, right? We now start seeing liquidations. So this is not a bad thing, right? So we start seeing a lot of liquidations. But what I want to see is that these liquidations are being bought by spot. If they do, then could be really good longs opportunity. If they don't, unfortunately, market is going to keep crashing. Okay, so that's kind of the way it is. So yeah, that's basically what I'm seeing at the moment, especially today, Monday. Yeah, it looks good in a way. Like I really want to see whenever you have liquidations happening, and this is a really, really good time that this is happening right now. You're gonna see two things. You're gonna see either a bounce, right? You're gonna see a bounce, something like this, and this is from the small time perspective is really, really good thing to have. Or the bounce is not sustainable, right? And then you see further crash. So how do you know? Unfortunately, you don't. But here's some ideas that you can actually use to know if we do have a bounce. However, this might not happen immediately, but when you see a lot of this happening, which is liquidations, right? Like all leverage longs being liquidated, or uh, a stop loss taken, such as, for instance, some of the positions that we took, are going to be stopped out, unfortunately, but this is what happens, right? Then you're going to see if spot are willing to buy that liquidation, or if spot are willing to buy that level, right? And if they do, you're going to start seeing spot rising, this giving you a little bit of fuck around. And then if you have sustainability on the spot, then you can place a long and do a scalp. I just gave you a really great scalping strategy right here, guys. Like, this is a really great scalping strategy. And, you don't aim to, you're aim for only like a 1%, 2% move, and then you get out. But these are really great strategy from the small time frame. Now, why do I see this as a catalyst of longer time frames? Because this needs to happen in order for the long, like the higher time frames, to be sustainable, right? Like, if you see a lot of sustained price here, then players are going to start getting in and keep buying, and then that's what the price action, starts going up. So all that to be said, this is very important time right now. If we don't see this, if we don't see a spot buying, then more than likely we're going to have a higher drop, right? So let's see what's going to happen in the next couple of hours, unfortunately, but this is what it is. So, all right. So any questions so far? I want to talk about a little bit more about the Asta, the exchange and things like that, but this is kind of what I'm saying at the moment. No? Hello? I'm still there?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, we're all here.
okay, good. Sweet, 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 sweet. All right. So I did share with you guys a few projects that I was researching, because obviously now that things start getting a little bit brisk on, there's going to be a interesting stuff that it's going to be new launches, new things that could be really good buy in a way. So I want to start with Asta. So I did share with you guys this platform. So Asta is being backed up by CC, all the Binance liquidity. It goes through. This is basically the same thing as Hyperliquid. It's a DeFi platform that you can actually buy spot and perpetuals. So you can actually trade perpetuals or spot, right? Through DeFi, through on-chain. You don't need an exchange. You don't need to be KYC. You don't need any of that stuff, right? So that's kind of the new thing that a lot of that the market is actually heading that way, right? And I did share with you guys that I was buying something around the 0.6. I think that was on Thursday. This thing just went nuts over the weekend. So yeah, I didn't buy much, but yeah, it went 174%. I already took a little bit of profits here. And then I'm gonna leave the rest to see what happens with this thing. So yeah, completely. Why I didn't call this one in the group? And there is yeah, Travis, awesome, mate. Awesome, awesome. Glad you took it. So why did not share this? Because obviously, if I share these people that are not experienced, then you need to understand how to buy this thing. Okay, you need to have a wallet. You need to have a MetaMask wallet, and this you can work it on the BNB chain, Ethereum chain, Arbitrum, or Solana. If you don't know what I'm talking about, don't buy it. Otherwise, you know what I mean. Like, get familiar how to actually do DeFi stuff. And essentially, you need a MetaMask. Here's the steps. You need a MetaMask account. Then you need to buy BNBs from your central exchange, send BNBs to your MetaMask, connect your MetaMask with your exchange, and then go to spot and buy this thing. Okay. So it's a few steps involved in order to actually buy this token. And this is the only way that you can buy this token. by the way, this token is not available in any other exchange. But with that being said, that's what makes this token sort of very good proposition in a way, because just like Hype, when Hype started, right? Hype wasn't on any exchange, only on the Hype ecosystem. Same thing with Asta, and then I definitely see this one as the huge competitor for Hyperliquid, right? And if it does a third of what Hyperliquid did, this token could go from 1 to 10 at least, you know what I mean? But this is a risky proposition, right? And this is something that it does have really good things. And in terms of points, they do have, they do have, they do in a stable coin, they do in like also, points that you can actually, the more you trade, you get points, you get airdrops. There's an airdrop going on at the moment, so obviously there's going to be a lot of selling pressure on this thing. So very tough very tough to say where this one is going to go downside, right? This could go 0.5, 0.4, 0.3. So, or this can stay on the $1. So the only thing that I want to say here is obviously it's not a bad idea DCAing into this on spot, kind of, right? So yeah, that's kind of what I might do. I already took some profits, by the way, guys. So obviously I'm gonna be playing with my profits, which is a different psychology that playing with your own capital. So obviously, have that in mind. But this is something that I'll be doing. I might do a guide, or no, we'll have a chat again and see if we do a guide on this one. But because I don't want to get strong conviction on this one, but there is a highly likelihood that this one could do really well. Volume is looking pretty good. It's backed up by CC, Binance Guy. A huge amount of liquidity could come in on this thing in the future. So I could definitely see this one as the next hyper liquid in a way, right? So yeah, that's what I wanted to talk about. Warren, do you need to add the Aster blockchain to MetaMask? No. So this is not a blockchain in a way. It works on these chains, on BNB or Ethereum or Arbitrum or Solana, which is the interesting proposition, right? That's one of the good propositions of this change. And so obviously it works on these chains. I'd rather do everything on BNB because obviously that's on BNB based exchange, but it does have the bridges on Ethereum, Arbitrum, and so on. But I do everything on BNB. So yeah, Todd asked there isn't a lot of sex on Dex now. Is it? All right. When were the listing? Maybe. All right. Couldn't find it. Asta. Let's have a look. It wasn't last week. It's on Mexi as a spot. Okay. Oh yeah, it was launched. Yep, you're right. So it was launched on Friday. Yeah, that's why I didn't see it. So now you can buy it from MXC. What else? And I'm talking about spot. All right, be careful not to confuse spot or perps. Definitely want to buy a spot on this one. All right, so buy Bybit now. Oh yeah, it was launched yesterday. Check this out on the Sunday. Interesting. Thanks, Todd, man. I'm just catching up with this thing. So yeah, you can buy it on Mexi, on Gate AO, on whatever the KSX is, Bybit as well. Those you can actually buy there. So that could be another way to buy Asta. So yeah, watching that one very closely. Another one that I want to talk about is this one. It's called Nauris, and I did share it with you guys, like the what is it, the website. And this one, it is like a cybersecurity project, very good, a lot of backers, a lot of things that it could develop well, especially in the bull run. So I haven't bought this one yet, but I'm gonna start buying. Same thing. I will not do this on leverage. The problem with this one is a lot of vesting tokens that need to be released. So you're gonna see a lot of this fucking around. A lot of the market goes up. People that have unlocked tokens will take opportunity for of these pumps to actually sell. So you're gonna see a lot of this fucking around. But long term, this one could look like pretty good. I'm still doing research on this one, right? And another one that I'm watching closely is DAM. So DAM is like this one here. It's like a stable coin protocol. It looks pretty interesting, right? Especially on this sort of ecosystem. So I'm just doing a list of possibilities of good ecosystems, of good narratives. I don't know if this thing's gonna last forever, but the narrative will. You know what I mean? So that's kind of what I'm aiming to see what narratives are going to be hot in this Q4. And more than likely, those narratives are going to pump. How fast, how far, who knows, man. And now we rely on price action to tell us when to start taking out, but start taking profits along the way. So let's say that we actually get into this one, we buy them, and if it goes 50% or 70%, start taking profits and compound those profits into it. So that's kind of a good narrative to play on this Q4, man. That's kind of what I mean. So I did promise to give you some good narratives in terms of what could be hot. So I'm putting together a few lists here in terms of, let me show you some of the stuff that I'm watching that could do really well. So we're in the watch list. All right, so I have, I think I'm able to share this. I'll share this with you guys, but I'll give you my thoughts on this one. And this is, some of these ones are on-chain stuff. It's not things that you can actually, some of these ones you can actually buy on exchange, but some of these ones you need to actually buy on-chain. You need to have your Solana or your Phantom or your board or to go on-chain and buy these ones. So I'm watching narratives. And within those narratives, we're watching different sort of tokens, right? So I'm watching this is the launch ecosystem. So with the launch coin, right? As you know, we are already on launch coin. Now, with launch coin comes back, a lot of the inside projects within launch coins could do really, really well, right? So obviously these are the ones that I'm watching, right? I'm gonna give you some more information next week. Like if we start seeing the market picking up, I think this could be risk on assets that it could do well. Then we go to AI and robotics. So there is a lot of stuff in terms of the AI and now robotics ecosystem in terms of decentralized robotics frameworks. And I'm watching all these ones here. The one that I really am interested, the one that I'm kind of ticking me a little bit is this one. It's called GEOD, and I'm just watching this one closely. I haven't bought anything, but this is very low market cap, very risky stuff. So just if you start buying this thing, just make sure that you don't risk. You only risk the amount of money that you're willing to lose in a way, right? So that's kind of what I'm watching on that one. And I'm watching another narrative that is very interesting that is called the prediction market. So it's a lot of new.
All right, dude. What happened? Cool. Look at that.
I don't know, man.
It says,
See,
are you under attack?
my market's crashing, everything is crashing.
Yeah,
So
yeah. It's those, what do they call them? Those EMPs, those electronic pulse.
look at this, how interesting. Anyway, I'll share with you the next watch list. Maybe it's just that's interesting. It's not anyway. There is it is the next narrative that I'm watching is prediction markets. So it's a lot of tokens doing the same thing as poly markets and things like that. And there is a lot of things that I'm seeing in terms of new platforms coming along on chain that could do quite well. So I'll share with these ones once this freaking watch list loads. But anyway, that's kind of what I'm looking at the moment. Yeah, interesting. Okay, something's going on with that screener. So yeah. All right, I think that's it for me, guys. I don't have anything else. Wow, look at Bitcoin. Yeah, like I say, that's an interesting that could be an interesting liquidation event to actually buy. So that's an interesting one. All right.
That's a great one. So John Impalagazio, I think it is. Sorry if I've said your name wrong. All you ever need to do is reach out to support. And if you can't press the buttons yourself, then we can get a coach to help you. So to qualify for the airdrop, Scott has been doing presentations. He's been talking about it in his emails almost every day. So you need to, if you're going to chat with support, John, make sure that you tell them whether you're receiving Scott's emails, whether you can read them, keep up with the stuff that's in the group, and join the trend updates group as well. So all of this is in Mighty Networks, it's in the emails, and it's in support as well. All right. Have a lovely day, everybody.
All
Ta-da.
right, guys. Have a good one.